talking about 4 trends that I think you should know about when it comes to working with American small business clients. This is why I do what I do, why I have these webinars, why I have a YouTube channel, why I go around the Philippines and do face-to-face trainings, is to help prepare you to be more successful when it comes to landing more American clients. There are millions of American small business clients out there. Most of them need virtual assistants. A lot of them have tried or will try Filipino virtual assistants. And so I have a special insight into that topic. So basically what we'll do is go through this PowerPoint and I will walk you through it. I have a couple of my team members and a few people that are really constantly helping me in my business on the call as well. So I want to acknowledge, I see Rochelle there. Thanks, RV. I see Vim there. Thank you very much for being here. And for everybody else, thank you for your time. I know it's a Tuesday night. You could be doing many things, but tonight we're going to talk about how to land more American clients by being more aware of some current trends. So here are these 4 trends, right? So number 1 is all the different remote work tools and collaboration platforms available. Every day I hear about a new platform, a new channel, a new app, something that we need to master. And it's never going to get easier, right, to be a virtual assistant. It's only going to get more hard. And I mean that it will get harder because there's always more things that you have to know. And every client is different. I've served over, I think in the last 5 years, probably close to 500 clients. And of all those clients that we've worked with, no 2 of them have the exact same setup. No 2 of them use the exact same set of tools, the exact same way. So it requires VAs to be very adaptable. And as you probably know, Filipinos are world renowned for their adaptability. So I think, it's a good thing for us to stay abreast of what's current and making sure that we can really optimize our time in learning new tools and having a mindset of always having to learn something new. Number 2, the e-commerce world and online marketing require expertise that American small business clients are looking for because they don't have it themselves. And there's this belief that if you are younger and if you're a virtual assistant and if you're experienced, that you're going to help them learn, or in some cases, learn for them. This is important because most people, when they think of getting a job, they expect to get trained by their boss, by the supervisor, by the training manager, by somebody who's got more experience than them. But in virtual assisting, more often than not, you're going to find that you have more experience than your client when it comes to doing things like having Zoom calls. Maybe the client is a business coach and wants to be able to put on a weekly webinar to give their clients tips on how to be healthier. And you're going to assume that they're going to know how to do that, but they may not. So as a VA, you need to know how Zoom works and how to send out invites and how to make sure that they have the recording on, how to make sure they have good lighting and good sound and they don't have a distracting background. All these things that they really probably don't know as much as you do. Because if you've been a virtual assistant, you're going to have more expertise than somebody who really isn't really that well versed in the online world. So e-commerce and online marketing require expertise. But what expertise? There's so many things to be an expert on. So we'll talk about some of the current trends and what apps are used in e-commerce and online marketing for American small business clients. In section 3, which we'll cover a little bit later, we'll talk about the CRMs, right? So customer relationship management software. So we'll talk about some of the key concepts and then also talk about some of the examples that I recommend people know about as Filipino VAs, what you should have a knowledge of if you want to work with American small business clients. Now, this is especially important if you consider yourself to be a generalist. If you want to be or are an executive virtual assistant or do general virtual assisting, you have to be kind of like a jack of all trades. And CRMs are very important. Number 4, data analytics and reporting. This is not an area that many people talk about, and this is a big concern of mine because if you can't validate what you do and why you do it, if you can't prove to your employer, to your client, that you're adding value to their business, then eventually they may decide that they don't need you. And the worst thing that can happen to a virtual assistant is they have to find another client. because it's hyper competitive. There are so many people that have been virtual assistants and want to be virtual assistants. And the number of your competition basically keeps growing. So it's important that you know how to report on what you do to make sure the client knows what you're doing and what kind of impact you're having on their business. Because if the client's not successful, they're not going to be able to keep you employed for very long. So there are two big misconceptions that a lot of people that are new to virtual assisting have that I think are fatal flaws in someone's ability to be successful as a virtual assistant. Number one is I get asked this question a lot. Do I have to have good English to be a virtual assistant? And unfortunately, my answer is yes, because if you can't speak to your client on a regular basis, you're not able to collaborate. If you can't collaborate, then it's going to be hard for that client to get value out of what you do. And if the client's not getting value out of what you do, they're not going to be successful. If they're not successful, they can't keep paying you, right? So one of the biggest challenges to collaboration is the ability to and the interest in having conversations with foreigners in English. There are jobs as a VA, there are tasks and duties and gigs you can get where you don't have to speak in English much or at all, but they're pretty hard. If you're a video editor and you're editing somebody's English video and you don't understand the grammar, you're not good at the spelling, it's going to come back to bite you. You're going to have a lot of revisions, and a lot of times you're going to have to fix things because you didn't have that great ability to communicate. As well as if a client gives you a task and you really can't understand them, don't ask good questions, and you go the wrong direction, you'll have to go back and redo your work. Everyone will get frustrated. And small business owners have generally short patience. They're good people. They're nice people. They want to be successful, but they're usually on a budget, and they usually have a crunch feeling on them, a time crunch, a money crunch. They're hiring a virtual assistant because they need help. And so you need to be able to collaborate. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you are updated on the latest remote working tools. So we're using one of the most popular tools right now. We'll talk more about this in a bit, but Zoom is an example of a important tool. Some people still use Skype. I don't know who does, but they do. Some people use Microsoft Teams or Discord or Slack or other things for communication. Those are important to know. You don't have to master everything, but what you do master, you want to promote. So if you're really good at helping clients record videos and then edit those videos for their YouTube channel, and they want to do a lot of Zoom conversations, they have a podcast, they're trying to set up a course, and they need to do a lot of recordings and using Zoom or maybe StreamYard or some other app for that. You want to have a knowledge of those tools. And also, you want to make sure that you're able to find out what's new, right? Every day, there's new apps. And the only way you know about these is have conversations. Follow Facebook groups. If you belong to any Facebook groups for virtual assistants, that's a good thing. Follow influencers. Follow people in the virtual assisting space that are really active and talking about what's current a lot. So when you want to collaborate, the best tool to use is Slack. Slack is really useful if anybody has had a corporate experience, is used to doing internal team chat. So if you have a client who's either got a full-time job and is launching their side business as an entrepreneur and wants a VA to help with that, or they used to work for a big company, they're probably familiar with Slack or something very similar to Slack, like Microsoft Teams. And then if they're not, if there's somebody who's always been an entrepreneur, but they know gaming, they might know Discord, but whatever it is, they need to know how to communicate, right? And discussion platforms are key. You can use Facebook Messenger, you can use WhatsApp, but whatever it is, you have to have a line of communication that you can have with your client to ask them questions and to engage with them. This is really the big area where I said there are two big fatal flaws I see. The first one being is, can I speak in English? And the second one being, or can I not use English? Can I be a VA and not have to speak English is the first fatal flaw. The second one is, do I have to talk to my client? Do I have to be available to have conversations with my client? If you want to be a VA who just does like things without talking to people, I recommend, going through apps like Fiverr, Fiverr, where you don't have to have long-term relationships with people that require you to collaborate. You do a task and get it done. But if you want to be part of someone's organization, you want to be their employee, you want to be their right hand, you want to grow their business with them, you're going to have to collaborate. And so whether you're able to promote yourself as an expert on using things like Discord or Microsoft Teams or Slack, you want to have one of those collaboration tools as something that's in your resume. That's something you can really focus on because collaboration is key. So a big challenge Filipino virtual assistants have is having to educate their clients, in a sense, on how to use these various tools, like project management tools. If a client's worked before in a company or has used it in their business, something like Trello or Asana or Monday or Basecamp, then they're going to have a project management mindset that will help you be more organized, especially when we're talking about delegation. But if they haven't, you may want to recommend that, and you want to figure out what you're best at. So if you really enjoy Trello because you love the post-it notes, if you like Asana's workflow, or if you enjoy Monday's workflow, whatever it is that you are used to using, be an expert in that. Put that in your resume, offer that to clients. And the good thing is if you know how to use one project management tool, they all kind of structurally work the same. They may look different, but they have a lot in commonality, right? So just promote this stuff on your resume, on your portfolio. Talk about what it is that you do collaborate. Make sure when you have that first interview with the client, when you're talking about your skill sets, really focus on collaboration as the most important piece. If you haven't done a lot of VA work before, then this is an area for you to really kind of learn more about. Like, take a time every day to learn a new tool, right? You want to build up a toolkit, a tool belt of different apps and that you can use. So if you're a newbie VA or you've only done a certain amount of things so far as a VA, and you haven't ever used Trello or Asana or Monday, get the free version, the trial version, the demo, and try it out just so that you know it. So when a client says, "Hey, have you used Trello?" You can say, "Well, I understand it." There are also YouTube videos, tons and tons of YouTube videos. There are thousands of YouTube videos. I've made some YouTube videos on my YouTube channel about things like Trello and Asana. And so use those tools, free tools, to help you learn how to become a master of these tools. So I hope that helps. That's collaboration. That's the first one. The next one we'll talk about tonight is e-commerce and online marketing, right? So the idea here is that Filipino virtual assistants should be familiar with digital marketing, social media management, SEO, and e-commerce platforms, right? Again, you may not want to specialize in this, although, for example, Amazon VAs are well paid if they're good, because Amazon's tricky. And a lot of American small business owners know they need to use Amazon to sell their products. Maybe they wrote a book, maybe they are selling some kind of essential oil, or they're doing some kind of product that supports their business. Like I've had a yoga coach need a VA to help her manage her Amazon store to be able to sell yoga mats. So having expertise with shopping, online e-commerce is important, right? So you want to be part of their success. And for a client to be successful, of course, they have to make money. They can't pay you if they're not making money. One of the biggest misconceptions a lot of Filipino virtual assistants have is that every American business owner is rich. Now, that's not really true. Most American small business owners are probably not any more financially secure than you are. They are either launching their business on a budget, or they're struggling to be able to make ends meet. They're using their credit cards to max out their business, and you're their best hope to start becoming profitable. Be part of their success. American small business owners need somebody to help them understand how to be more successful, which again is the opposite of what a lot of people think. That misconception that every American business owner is already an expert in their business and they're already rich is going to cause problems, because really what you will find is that most of them are going to look to you to be the expert. So you also want to be able to create compelling content consistently. Create consistent and compelling content, what we call it. And basically engaging their followers, their audience, their customers in social media. A lot of you will find work primarily as social media managers, graphic designers, video editors, and they all kind of contribute to the idea that you're trying to help the client raise their voice and expand their market. To give more eyes on them and their products. And so social media is a big part of this, right? And they tie together, because if you have an Amazon store and you're selling a yoga mat, or if you have a Shopify account and you're trying to get people to sign up for your coaching platform, or you're using some kind of tool where you want people to sign up through ClickFunnels, you're going to have to create content to get them there. And the content is where a lot of VAs will, again, will use things like Canva and CapCut, or Adobe Premiere or Photoshop, um, do different things that help the client make good, compelling content. So that's one piece of the puzzle. It's just part of, but you should have some knowledge. If you're a virtual assistant and you don't already know how to use Canva really well, you're kind of a dinosaur, because everyone should be using Canva. I look at, I'll give you an example. I look at a lot of resumes. I mean, thousands of resumes of Filipino virtual assistants every year. And I can tell right away the ones using Canva, because their designs are colorful and engaging and kind of sharp and cool looking. They probably use the Canva template. And I can look at the ones that are still using the old-fashioned style of black text and a white background with a headshot and the college graduation gown, with data points on their resume that really don't matter, like their parents' marital status, their blood type, their religion. You list your schooling first, education first, and then your job functions or job experience in chronological order, oldest to first. All these things I just mentioned are examples of kind of an older way of doing things. But people that use Canva and use a template, it prompts you to do things that are much simpler, and much more, effective in getting the client's attention. And so knowing how to use tools like Canva is a really big deal. And I can tell when I see a resume whether somebody probably used Canva or not. And if they didn't use Canva, it's probably not going to be a good fit for them to work with us, because all of our clients need somebody who understands how to help build good content. And everyone's using Canva for that. And so that's really a big tip that I'll share with you today. Creating content, knowing how to edit videos, right? The biggest need right now, the biggest need is people that can make reels. There are a lot of American business owners that are like me. They're kind of like, they're a little older, middle age, I would say. And they're not too familiar, and they don't have the patience and understanding to make good videos. And they require videos for their business. They can record the raw video, but to put all the bells and whistles and sound effects and text scrolls and everything else in that video, it takes too much of their time, or they don't have a good taste for it. They're not sure how to do it. They don't do it well. So they want to hire a virtual assistant who could do that. So if you're, again, a VA and you want to find American clients, you got to have a general knowledge of how to do video editing, even if that's not what you're going to do every day, or you don't want to be just primarily a video editor. You should have an idea of how it works. Now, most of you do videos for your personal lives, right? A lot of you have TikTok channels and IG accounts, and you do Facebook, and you're doing reels all the time. Try to do a few that are a little more professional. Try to do a few that have some editing that kind of, gives them an intro and outro, maybe some music, something that would attract a business audience. So creating content is really key. Another big trend is knowing the market, right? So one of the big challenges Filipino virtual assistants have, is understanding their client's market. So you live in the Philippines, and the market's a bit different in the US as it is in any country. You have the benefit of having the most American influence of any country in Asia. The Philippines is the only country in Asia that speaks an American style English. Everyone else speaks a British style English, like in Singapore or India or wherever. And so you have an advantage there. And you have an advantage of the entertainment system here in the Philippines is heavily, you got a lot of K-pop, you got a lot of Chinese influence and Japanese influence, but mostly you still have American movies in the theaters, American TV shows on television, access to American movies via TV. So understanding the market's easier. So keep yourself current. Develop a deeper understanding of your target audience, of market trends, and virtual assistants can help their businesses increase online visibility and attract potential customers. So know the target market. Next thing I'll talk about really here in e-commerce and online marketing is website visibility and using hashtags, right? So you don't have to know how to do SEO, but you want to make sure a client's website is optimized. You don't have to know how to do everything perfectly on social media, but you should have the idea of how hashtags work. Again, if the client's successful, you'll be successful. So even if you're not tasked with helping them manage their SEO or come up with the hashtags and the copywriting for their social media, you still want to think of things that will benefit. Like, so right now, obviously trending on social media the last week was Travis Kelce, Super Bowl, Taylor Swift, those obviously hashtags would get a lot of reads. Now you don't want to hashtag Taylor Swift for everything because billions of people follow her. But if there's certain trends that people are talking about, then you want to know what those hashtags are. So be proficient in e-commerce platforms, right? So there are a lot of e-commerce platforms. There are big ones like Amazon, the biggest in the American environment. I know there's one in there's one in China that's bigger, and it escapes me what it's called. But there's Amazon in the US. Everyone uses Amazon. It's like, one-click ordering, delivered to your home the same day, if not the next day. And so it's become a big part of life. So understand how Amazon works a little bit will help if your client sells anything. If you take on a client who says they want you to help them manage their sales of their yoga mats for their yoga coaching course, then you want to learn a little bit about how they would do that. So you also want to know about Shopify, the second most popular way to do e-commerce in the US, turning online platforms into shops. There's things like WooCommerce, which is good for clients that have WordPress stores. There's Wix stores. There's other things like Magneto, BigCommerce, Square Online. Square is an online payment platform. PayPal even has the ability to do stores. There's an never-ending list, again, of apps to learn. But really, you want to make sure that you're got an awareness of them and that you specialize in a few. So if you're a good virtual assistant, we want to consider hiring to be one of our VAs to either assign you a client where you're doing kind of a general VA approach, helping them with social media, doing some email management, doing some marketing, maybe doing some video editing or graphics. I'm going to look for this stuff on your resume, right? Do you have any experience in collaboration tools and any experience in e-commerce tools? Because most of the clients that I'm going to match you with are going to require VAs that are good at collaborating and having a general understanding of how e-commerce works. If you've helped people before sell things on IG or sell things on TikTok, then lean into that because most haven't. If you have experience doing that for yourself, if you sell things, if you have an online store, if you try to do second hand or pre-loved clothes, if you sold, some kind of product through an MLM and used your social media, lean into that, right? So there are plenty of clients that need that help and you've already got experience. So e-commerce is something that everyone needs and very few people are experts of. So the second most important trend I'll mention to you, besides being able to collaborate, is helping people sell online, because selling online is how people make money when it comes to small business owners in 2024.